My name is Wes Moore, and back in December of 2000, the Baltimore Sun announced I'd received the Rhodes Scholarship and wrote a piece on my life. The article talked about my childhood and described some of the difficulties I'd encountered while growing up. One of those difficulties was losing my father when I was 3 years old. He was a well-known newscaster and radio personality in the Baltimore and DC area. One day, he contracted a rare illness that killed him within hours. I watched helplessly as he died in front of me. My mother did her best raising us on her own. But before I was even a teenager, I became disillusioned with school and getting into trouble in my neighborhood. At great expense and taking a huge financial risk. My mom sent me to a military school she'd heard about. I ran away 5 times before giving it a chance. It was there that I found a greater sense of purpose. But in Baltimore, there was another Wes Moore who was failing. The year the Baltimore Sun reported on my life, they also ran a series of articles on his life. The other Wes Moore was living in the same area of Baltimore, around the same age, we shared the same name, and we both grew up with single mothers.
Police tell Eyewitness News Wesley John Moore and Richard Antonio Moore were caught just before 3:30 in the 2200 block of 19th Street in downtown Philadelphia. The arrest was made by the FBI Fugitive Task Force. Police tell Eyewitness News both men were in a relative's house and did not resist arrest. The Moore brothers are wanted on first-degree murder warrants in connection with the February 7th shooting death of Sergeant Bruce Prothero during a robbery at J. Brown Jewelers in Pikesville.
That year, while I was on my way to study at Oxford, my namesake was on his way to do life in prison. Years later, after I returned from Oxford, I was haunted by the sharp contrast and the eerie similarities between my story and the other Wes Moore. I reached out to Wes and began writing him, then visiting him in prison, trying to learn more about him. I wanted to know, what were the differences between us? What happened in each of our lives that caused 2 dramatically different fates? What I discovered was this. The chilling truth is that his story could have been mine. The tragedy is that my story could have been his. To understand our destinies and to explore larger, urgent questions about opportunity and fate, individual choice and our priorities as a society, I wrote a book called The Other Wes Moore.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to bring to the stage a Phi Theta Kappa member, Phi Beta Kappa member, Rhodes Scholar, White House Fellow, and member of the Phi Theta Kappa Foundation Board of Directors. Please welcome your fellow Phi Theta Kappa member, Wes Moore.
Personally, thank Rod. I mean, Rod is not only an extraordinary mentor to me, but just a great friend. And I think we are all just very lucky and very privileged to have his leadership. So first, I want to just again thank you so much, Rod, for everything. And also to Nancy, to Matthew, to Kip, to all the leadership, to the entire Phi Theta Kappa team, and the entire Phi Theta Kappa family. It is just an absolute honor to be here and to address you this morning. When I first started this book process, I actually really didn't want to do it. And I really didn't want to do it for a lot of reasons. I felt that I was too busy and I couldn't make the time for it. And I felt that this would just be too arduous a process and I'd have to get too many interviews and it would just be too long and I don't want to look too deeply into my own life. And I'd known Wes long before I'd actually decided to start this process of writing the book. But there were two things that pushed me in order to make this decision that I thought this is a story that needed to be read and a story that needed to be written. The first thing was I thought about that family of that police officer, and I thought about Sergeant Rothwell, a person who did nothing wrong besides go to work that day, who had 5 kids, triplets, who was lost that day. And I thought about, as Edmund Burke once said, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. And the second thing that I thought about, which helped me make the decision, was actually a conversation that I ended up having with Wes. When I told Wes that someone had come up and actually brought up this idea of this book, and I told him that my initial reaction was absolutely not, he said, listen, I've wasted every opportunity I've ever had in life, and I'm going to die in here. And if you can do something to help people understand the ramifications of their decisions, and also help people to understand the communities in which these decisions are being made, then I think you should do it. And so I did. We went through this process of really 3 years of putting this whole thing together, of doing hundreds of hours of interviews with Wes, his family, his friends, my family, my friends, just to make sure that I was getting the story and the facts and the feel right. And one thing I realized throughout this entire process was this. There are Wes Moores who live in every single community around this country. We all know them. We all can look at our own lives and see how there are people who we grew up with, people who had similar type of situations as us, who are on completely different paths than us now. I know if we went by this room, everybody would have a story, everyone would have an example of exactly what I'm talking about and some of the issues that we highlight in this. So the importance of it is this. While the framework, while the foundation of the book are these 2 kids, and what ends up happening in the lives of these 2 kids that causes this split, the fact remains is this book is not about Wes Moore's. This book is about the others. The others in our society who we generally don't think about, and we generally castigate, and we ignore, because we feel like it doesn't affect us. The problem with that is that it does. The problem with that is that in one way, shape, or form, we will see the others again. And what does that mean about our larger society? What does it mean about the destiny and the hope that we hope to shape in our communities and in our nation? That was the motivation and the realization behind this entire product, behind this entire project. The amazing thing about Phi Theta Kappa, and to me, my experience going through Phi Theta Kappa, was not just the importance of understanding the educational advancement and understanding the importance of completion and getting that degree, but the importance of being an example to so many others who are going through similar type of processes. We need that motivation, who need that push, who need that urge. And why the only way that evil will triumph is if good people do nothing. That burden is huge and it sits on all of our shoulders. That burden of understanding the others in our community and protecting our community by being involved, by being engaged. The tenets of not only academic success but also community service and what that means. One of the things I'm most proud of in this book is the fact that we have over 200 organizations in the back of it that actually are places to go if you need help or places to go to help. Because this is not just a book I want people to read and put down, it's a call to action. It's a call to action to get involved. So I'm extraordinarily thankful for your support, extraordinarily thankful for your time. And we have, and if you want to figure out ways to get involved, first of all, please feel free to contact me. I'm going to be around for the entire weekend, but also there's a Facebook site for The Other Wes Moore and theotherwesmore.com. I want to hear from you. I want to be engaged. I want to be able to see you and be able to be helpful to you as you're doing your projects around the country, because I'm telling you, right now, more than ever, as we're watching disparities grow, and as we're watching unemployment, and specifically targeted unemployment, rise at the levels that it's rising at, we all need everybody involved, and all hands need to be on deck in this effort. So again, thank you so much for your time. God bless you all, and I look forward to seeing you for the rest of the weekend. Thank you.